Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Radio Out of Control. Today, I'm looking at the induction system on the Toyan V8. So, the intake manifold, carbs, and all that stuff. So, I got some info on it, some stuff I don't understand, but stay tuned and let's get to it, because I'll do a comparison of the Toyan V8 to the Aussie V8, show you the sizes. This is a lot smaller, but like I say, that one's more realistic of a small block Chevy. So anyways, here we go, guys. Grab your popcorn, whatever you want to do, your favorite beverage, and let's do this, man. Okay, so you can see I got an Allen wrench here, 4mm Allen wrench, and it's a number 4, I should say. It goes in a 4mm hole. It's a little tight for the head. Okay, so what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to find more breathing capability out of this engine, because it definitely needs it. It runs okay the way it is, but I think you could get a lot more RPM out of this thing, and I'm trying to find it. So the way the intake manifold is made, it's just a simple piece of aluminum. You can see that they had just drilled a bunch of holes in it, and you know, your carburetor mounts and all this stuff, and underneath it they got it bellowed out to fit your starter. And I've been really investigating this thing, and let me get a little Allen wrench or something here, because here's the way it goes. You got just a little over a 3mm hole here, okay, for all your runners. Like 3.36 millimeters is what I could pretty much measure into a 4mm hole in your cylinder head. Now the plot thickens. They bore out, you know, your center, so you can have like an intake. So this is a 4mm hole, okay, a little over 4mm, or a little under 4mm, to 4 3mm, or you know, holes, and it stops halfway through. So in other words, it's blocked off right at the end of that keyway there, and the same with the other side. If I stick it in here, it only goes in so far, and it stops there. So you have 4 3mm runners coming out of a little under 4 channel down the center, with one carburetor. If you look inside there, that's your breathing capability, just that little slot right there that goes through that hole halfway through the intake manifold to the front 4 of these, and then the second carburetor feeds the 4 at the back with the same channel in there. So I'm thinking, when I rev this thing up, it sounds like it wants more air, and I understand they probably did this for idle stability, fuel economy, and all that, but I think it could be a lot better, if you ask me. So what I did was, on my version of the hacked up V8 that I made, I took the carbs off, but the carbs don't fit because there's not enough room for the carbs. So that's not a problem. So I took the exhaust runners off, and they bolt right on, but they are so close that they cross together. So to make, you'd have to totally re-engineer an intake manifold, because I was going to cut these off and just make a you know, just take a piece of square tubing and drill the holes in it, and you know, bring it down to where it bolts. And I was going to use these openings here and just bolt the tubing just like the exhaust manifold would go on there, they bolt it right to the end. I figured that and the rubber O-ring would be cool, but I'm opening up a can of worms there, because it's going to take a lot of time to make an intake manifold. And if I was going to do one, I'm going to make a tunnel ram, and you know, a tunnel ram, I'll bring it up at an angle, so these won't come straight out. These will come up and turn like this. So I have these I can cut off to use as a base plate for the head, and I can make an intake manifold. But like I say, it's probably going to take me, you know, a good 20-30 hours to make this thing so it works correctly. Now they got an ingenious setup here. There's a little rubber O-ring here that goes into this little hole, a little 4mm hole right there. And when you set your intake on there, you bolt it down and it compresses against that, which is cool. But what I found out too, mine was loosening up, so it was leaking, and you know, probably from the, you know, expansion and contraction of the head. So I'm still working on this. Now I was just going to drill these out, you know. I thought, oh, I'll just drill them out. But you could see when you put that in there, I'm going to try to get up close to the camera here. When you put this in here, all right, try to get a good angle, and you pull it out, and then you run it up the center of the head there. There's hardly no room to go bigger. I mean, not big enough to, you know, because I'd rather put a bigger hole all the way through here and a bigger runner, but with this recess in here, it's super tight when you run it in there. That's the angle of it right there. So it's like you have no room down here to drill. Maybe 1mm, and I don't know if that's going to do much. It might do a lot, but I don't know. We'll see. And the reason I was doing this today was because I had set up a clutch on the back here, and I was out testing the thing, and you know, this is a 3-shoe aluminum shoe clutch, and I can hold on to the thing. You know, I can hold it and just hold the thing wide open, and it ain't engaging. You can feel a little drag on it. I even changed the springs on the thing, and you know, it's just, it doesn't give it enough RPM to throw it out there. So now I have a question for you guys. Now, a long time ago, there was a company that made like a moped, and it had a torque converter setup on it. I guess these things are harder than hen's teeth to find. I guess they're rebuildable too, but I don't know. I know the mopeds are, you know, they're a low RPM, you know, engine, so they do produce enough fluid viscosity in that little torque converter thing to drive it, you know. And so that's my thoughts for this. If we can, you know, if I can find one of those things and try to, like, you know, reverse engineer it to work on these engines, I think it'll be a lot better than these little hobby clutches, you know. But that was my video for today. I am so far behind with catching up with everybody else and everything, and it's just been crazy. The heat up here, we've had what, 6 days of over 90 degrees so far, and you know, it's pretty brutal as far as the humidity. So I'm inside today just kind of messing around, and even though it was so hot, I took this outside and let it set out on my deck in the back of the house there, and let it cook in the sun. Then I started it up, and this engine was so hot from just the sun beating on the thing that the fuel was boiling, you know, so it wasn't running correctly. What I wanted to do was, since I kind of re-engineered the cooling system on it, I wanted to check it out. Now, when I first started this thing, this cylinder head over here was close to 250 degrees. Like, the water was just boiling everywhere. Now that I ran it through the pump at a different angle, as you can see, I put two tubes in here, 2 pieces of 3/16 brake line with just some connectors, and I ran them out So it comes in the pump, comes out of the pump, and then it pushes it through the bottom of the cylinder head and comes out the top here, and this little Y thing that I had made, which I redid that because it was leaking. And that's, you know, and I checked it, and it was, today when I was running it this morning, the humidity was pretty high. It was only about 90 degrees, and I didn't let it sit out in the sun, but I got about 168, 70 at, you know, on certain spots of the engine, but the rest of the engine seemed to be about 150 degrees. So we're well within our temperature ranges for running nitro in these engines. Now, of course, I didn't hold the thing open and let it boil through because I don't have my fan hooked up, and I probably need a little bit more hose, you know, to help cool the thing off, I should say. But so yeah, like I say, I just wanted to throw a video out there and let you guys know that I'm not snoozing on you. I am still trying to figure out the like I say, the breathing capabilities of this. I even went as far as unhooking one of the carburetors and blocking it off, and that's when, you know, it wouldn't run very good at all. That's when I realized that they had put a separator in the middle here, so you definitely need both carburetors unless you drill through this, which you can't because it's just not thick enough, you know. And I mean, I don't know, I could probably squeeze another millimeter out of the holes, but boy, it's, you know, I don't know if I can get another intake manifold if you know, if I flub it up. And it runs okay the way it is, but I just wanted more RPM out of it to help out the clutch situation back here, because I think that you know, they're showing, you know, 10,000 RPMs and all that stuff, and it, you know, but you know, it's a V8 and it's, you know, 90-degree crankshaft, so it's not going to build a lot of super RPM, but it's going to build a massive amount of torque. That's why I was thinking about that torque converter idea. But anywho, I'm going to roll there and do some things around the house here and keep plugging away at this. But I thought I'd share that with you guys. You know, it's like I wanted to see how that comparable the heads were on the L400. And, you know, it wasn't. You know, they just, one side you could probably put it on there, but I don't know if these seem a little longer than the L400 does. So it's kind of weird. The motor's longer but shorter, where this one is shorter but taller, you know, because it probably has a, you know, different stroke to it and all that, because it's a straight up and down engine. But so let me get the Aussie V8 over here, and I'm going to show you guys the size comparison of the Aussie V8 with the Toyan V8, because this seems to be a lot smaller in size, shorter, you know, and I don't know about longer, but overall length it's probably the same length. So let me grab that and we'll check that out. Hold on. And we're back. So they do have a supercharger for this little Toyan engine now too, but it's not like the big 671 here. So here's the Toyan. I know I got a bracket plate on here, but if you look, the engine sets about halfway, you know, about to the header where the oil pan comes to. I'll try to set this close to this if you can see. Yeah, it's probably hard for you guys to see. Overall length, this is shorter because of the belt drive out here. The heads are comparably the same length long, but these are fatter because it's an overhead cam and these have rockers in them, roller rockers. So it's a lot shorter, you know. It's more compact, and where I don't know what the power of this is. I thought it was around 5 horsepower with the, you know, with the supercharger. I don't know, it might be more, but this has 1/4 inch size runners in here, and it's got a massive, you know, blower system on the thing here, and it's got 2 good sized carbs, you know, that feed this thing. and you know, they're good size. They're not these tiny little carbs that they have on here, even though the cylinder size is pretty comparable to the Toyan engine. And this one's got 1/4 inch runners, and it breathes very well, and it revs up pretty crazy. Like when you rev this thing, it'll actually shudder the engine because it's putting so much boost through it. And it does have that blower surge when it's idling. And where this one here is very smooth. I mean, I can get it down to a very low idle, which I did today, and I actually unplugged the glow plugs too, which was pretty cool. And it sat there, just putted away until, you know, the glow plug started extinguishing the flames. So let me put this back, and I'll come back and we'll finish up with this, and we'll go from there. Okay, put the Aussie V8 away. It's too big to cuddle. And so, like I say, I'm going to keep on keeping on with this, and I'm going to put it back together. I understand where I got to be. You know, it's gonna. My first thought was, instead of running these this way, I'd have to make a complete new intake manifold, because unfortunately it bolts through here to the head. And my thought was to make a plate, a thick plate, and drill these more at an angle through here. That way you bolt this down first with the holes here. Now you got your, you know, good size hole here for your runner. Then on the plate you bolt down on it, I could probably put bigger carbs on here. I could probably put, you know, the 8 carburetors that are on here, because now there's room for them to set back and forth. The only problem is these are reversed, you know, when you turn them around, so I don't know if I'd be able to, you know, figure it out. The only thing is, though, now I'm sacrificing 2 L400s to make this. I could probably buy some good size, you know, carbs and set them up on there, and but I like them to bolt down, you know what I mean? Like these bolt on with 2 bolts here, you know, they bolt 1 2, you know, 1 2 1 2 1 2, you know, and just like here, you know, I tried to put them in here where the, you know, where the holes were here, but they're too broad, and then they, you know, either the throttles would hit together because it's so compact in here, or if I turn them around, the fuel needle, it just hits the starter motor. It doesn't fit at all. So anyways, guys, let me get back to doing what I do, which I don't know what that is. But you guys have a good one. Stay cool out there, man. Love to all, and like, share, subscribe if you want. Tell your friends, and I want to thank everybody out there for supporting me, and you guys are, you know, you guys are pretty cool. So anyways, later.